G'day Defender owners, club members, this is George, your secretary and AC specialist. I have a vehicle that's come in today, and this particular vehicle has got a very standard problem that I see, like 1,000 times a year, and that is it's low on refrigerant. In fact, it's more than low, it's almost empty. So clearly we're dealing with a car that does have a leak. And there's a few questions I always ask. Has the vehicle been in an accident? If it has, then chances are I should be looking down towards the front of the vehicle, the condenser. The other thing is the age of the vehicle, and also how long has the owner had the vehicle. If they've only just bought the vehicle and said, oh look, it was working terrific when I bought it, and then 2 weeks later it doesn't work, well, you know what's happened there. They've just had the previous owners regassed it just to sell it, and unfortunately you're left holding the bag. In this particular case, this car is a 2006 Nissan Pulsar. It's the original owner of the vehicle. The vehicle hasn't been in a crash, but the vehicle's old. I mean, it's 20 years old, 2006, so it certainly is an age-related thing. And when we're dealing with a car that's a little bit old, well, we've got the O-rings that'll go, Schrader valves that'll go, you name it, they'll go. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to vacuum the system and lock it down at about 25 to 30 psi, and then I'm just going to piss off and go and have a coffee and just think about some of my life choices. When I come back within a half hour, an hour, or whatever, if that gauge is moved, then we know it's certainly drawing air in, which means it's going to leak gas if I put it in there. But here's the dilemma. If it is sucking in air, so we've proven there is clearly a leak, well, we're going to have to find that leak. So how do we do it? Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one is put nitrogen inside the system, if you don't want to use gas. In my case, I don't muck around. I use R134, the dye. I put a healthy shot in there, so, to the customer, their car's working now. They think it's all fixed and done. No, it's not. We just need to put the dye into the system, charge it up, go away, a few days later come back. And I usually ask those customers to come back anytime after 7 or 8 p.m. And with my UV light, I then shine around and I can usually find where that leak is. I don't know where the leak is with this particular vehicle, but we're going to find out. And before it leaves the workshop today, I'm hoping to find that leak, I'm hoping to find that leak live on the video so you can see it, right? And you get a bit of an idea of how the AC system works. All right, I'm going to pause this video. I don't really know how to use my camera as far as pausing and restarting, whatever, so if I screw this up, my apologies. Okay, well that seems to have worked. All right, so here it is here, guys. It's a little Nissan Pulsar, as I said. And of course, straight away, what am I looking for? I'm looking for these two characters right here. The low pressure line, the high pressure line. How do we tell? Well, have a look at the thickness. The low pressure is always a thick pipe. The high pressure is always this thin pipe here. That thin pipe's making its way over here. It's going to go over to this condenser over here, which is just down there. You can see the condenser there. It's going to do its business and then send a return line back. In fact, is that one is the return line. So there it is there. It's going down there. So it's going down low. This other one is coming up, goes over to the compressor. So I've got all that sorted out. Don't worry, I'm just talking to myself. We're going to check this whole system. First things first, though, I'm going to go and grab my gas over there, bring over my trolley, vacuum the system, and I'll show you what we find. Okay guys, so I've now plugged in the couplings down there. The low pressure port and the high pressure port are both now engaged with the couplings. I've wound in the couplings so I know we've got engagement with it. So if there's any pressure in there, it should be coming up through the low and high pressure lines, coming up to here and showing on my gauges. And so what do my gauges show? Well, sorry about the glare there, but we're looking at the white numbers on the outside in this particular case, and we're sitting at 0. Sorry about that, it's terrible with this glare on my... Let me see if I can turn that off. There we go, that's a bit better. So we've got, nothing. Come over here, and again, nothing. See the 0 there? We've got nothing. So the gauges are showing us we've got nothing. So what are we going to do now? Well, now we come over to the vac. I'm just going to use a small vac today. Turn the pump on. She's going to literally vacuum this system. We're going to go to the low one. We're going to open both the low and the high pressure side, but I've got the camera in my hand, so I've got to use just the the one there. So watch me turn it on, and watch that needle now, it's going below 0. And that's what we want it to do. So let's open it up. And she's going to vac out over here. That's also going to the minus because, you know, it's hooked up down here, but we're going to help it. We're going to draw that out as well. We're going to let this vac. Right now, I'm just looking at doing a vacuum test. Let me turn this camera around. So at this point, we're just vacuuming the system to, you know, minus 25, minus 30 psi. And after a couple of minutes, I'm going to lock both the, you know, the high and low pressure gauge down, lock them down, and they will stay in that below 0 vacuum stage. They should not move. If they do move and start to crawl back up towards the 0, you know that we're sucking air into the system. And I've said it before, so I'll say it again. Just think about the old days where we used to go to McDonald's, get those little plastic straws as we did as kids, right? You put your finger at one end of it, suck that straw really hard, you'd implode the straw. That's what we're doing right now, except we're going to lock it off just so it stays in that contorted, imploded mode, right? We want to leave it like that. And over an hour or two, we just watch that needle. If I take a pin and I pinprick that straw, even though you've sealed one end with your finger, you've got your tongue in there trying to block it from the other end, if I hit it with a pin, well, that straw's suddenly going to go back to normal because air's got in there. That's what happens when these gauges start to move back towards 0. They're drawing air in there, but they'll do it really slowly unless you've got a major problem like a hole in a pipe or something like that. This is a slow leak. So I just want to confirm we're dealing with a leak, and there's a good reason for it. An air conditioning tech has to first prove that you've got a leak before he can start putting that gas in there, or else if he's just doing a regas for you, that's a no-no. It means your car's going to leak it up into the atmosphere, and nobody wants that in our ozone. So I'll start the video again very shortly. We'll see what goes on. I'm going to turn these gauges off, lock these gauges off and turn the pump off, and we'll see what happens when we allow it to sit for about half an hour. Righto, at the sound of all these green frogs, because it's raining out here, so it's a stormy day here in Darwin. When I've now turned off the vacuum pump, and I've locked off the vacuum line there, and if you have a look, let's now read the blue bar there, which is PSI, right? Let's have a look at it right there, and right now we have vacuumed it down to, well, not minus 30, it's more like minus 25, right? Same thing's happened over here with the red gauge. You know, we're looking at, sorry, with the high pressure side, the red there. We've vacuumed it right down. Take a good look at where that needle is there, and a good look at where that needle is there. And what we're wondering is are these needles going to move in the next hour or so? We'll come back and have a look. Righto guys, we're back. It's been a little while, and I'm just going to go back up to the gauges there. I can see there has been I think there's a tiny bit of loss there. Yeah, I reckon there's a loss there. So somewhere in this system there's going to be refrigerant that's leaking. R134 is going to be leaking. I'm going to use my ultraviolet light a bit later on to see if I can spot it. But the first thing I'm going to do now is, put a little bit of my gas into this system. Right, it's got the, this thing's got the UV dye there. So we're going to pump that into the system, get it into here, and hopefully the compressor will kick in and get it all up and running. And then once it's pressurized, then let the games begin. Then we try and find where the leak is. And man, it's gotten dark out there, but it's pouring rain out there right now. Anyway, good time to be working on a car, that's what I reckon. Okay guys, I'm just going to tell you very quickly how we're going to do this procedure. I just didn't want to start the car yet. We must run the car in order to do a recharge, but I'm just going to keep the engine off just so you can hear me. So what I've done is I've already turned my bottle on, and the application line, which is this yellow one here, on my particular gauges, you have to purge the line, which means get all the air out of this line here. So, you're putting liquid refrigerant in there and not vapor, right? And with the poorer sort of lower model gauges, you usually, turn the cock on over there. This line gets nice and hard, and you undo this line until air comes out, and then suddenly all this green stuff will start coming out. But with this particular line, you can just take off this little Schrader cover, and yeah, we've all seen these before. Just that little nipple there, just give it a hit. Air will come out, and then suddenly refrigerant will come out. So that's already been primed up, it's ready to go. The gauges are in full vac mode now, so they're ready to go. And in a moment I'm going to turn this line on. Once I start the car, I'm going to turn this line on, and always put your liquid refrigerant in via your low pressure line. We don't install the refrigerant, and we don't charge it up through the high pressure side. We're going to go through the low pressure side. Now what should happen if we've got a healthy system is this needle will start to climb. It'll go past this little black mark that I've put here. There's a little black mark there. It's not very good now, but anyway, it'll go past that, and then you'll hear the compressor click. The clutch of the compressor will click in, and then it'll immediately suck this needle down there, which tells us that the vacuum side of the pump is working. This guy will start to climb and climb and climb. We don't want him to go anything higher than that, because that means our condenser is really getting hot. Lots and lots of pressures in there, and we've kind of overcharged the system. So as we recharge the car, once the compressor kicks in, I no longer watch this gauge. This gauge is not important to me. This is the gauge that I want to watch, right? Anyway, let me pause the camera, and when I start to film again, we should be running the car and getting ready for the recharge. Okay guys, the engine is now running, and I'll just turn this light off. Right. Okay, let's. The aircon is on. The button's pressed in. The blower fan's on high. The thermostat's turned right down to get nice cold air. So now let's first get the gas into the manifold, and that's now just allowing the gas from that bottle. From the bottle over here, it's now coming up through the yellow line. It's sitting in our manifold. Just there's a little viewing glass. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to turn my light on for this part. And in there, that will start to fill with liquid. You'll see it fill up, right? You might not see it right now because, I'm using a camera in my hand. It's not the best. Here we go. Let's start to bring the gauge up. Here we go. She's starting to fill nice and slow. She's loading up. She's loading up. About 5 seconds from now, the compressor will kick in. There she goes. And she pulled down. You saw that little pulling down. It's still loading up, but if I turn it off, you'll see the gauge drops right down. So we've got good vacuum happening in the system, and we've got about 10 psi in there. We're going to go a bit higher than that. Let's start loading the old girl up, and we're doing very well. And I'm watching my gauges as she loads up. You can hear the compressor taking in the gas, and the compressor's working its ass off now because it's actually got some resistance in there, so pressure is building, and the pressure is building here, and we're going down faster. Turn the gauge off. Let's just wait for everything to settle. And what should happen is this one should be higher than this one here. So let's let it settle down. This gauge is actually slowly dropping. You can see they're starting to balance out. And there we go. This guy's now starting to take lead, because what's happening is the condenser out the front here is starting to get hot. Turn on the light. So if I reach down there and touch that condenser just there, it should be getting warm. And it's definitely getting warm. And on the skiddy pipe here, if I touch it, it should be very hot. And it is. So everything's working well, but we're ready to go with a bit more refrigerant in there. Let's get a bit more refrigerant in there. Piling it on. You'll notice the red gauge. She's climbing. Righto. Lock her off. Let's turn off all our gas go to the system so we know we're completely out. And we are looking healthy. Now, if I get a garden hose right now, if I grab my garden hose from around the side there and I wet the condenser, we'll be cooling the condenser down, and this gauge here will drop. And that's why it's very important to have a thermo fan fitted to your car here, because the cooler we can get this, the colder that gas is going to be when we go inside the vehicle, right? So let's go into the vehicle for a moment now. Have a quick look. There we go. Oh yes, can you feel that? Here, I'll put the camera in front of her. Right, so right, so she's icy cold there. Righto, so we've done the first stage. Everything's going good. I'm just going to be a bit lazy here because there's not much room for me to go from the other side. I'm just going to turn this engine off. Righto, so she's gassed up right now. However, we do know that this car has got a leak. And now it's time to investigate where the leaks are. Now let's talk about the usual suspects, right? Go one more time. Let me just check all the gauges are off. Take the cop down. Make sure she's finished. Righto. Okay, let's begin by remove the couplings. Take them off. That one's off. Just be mindful your low pressure, your high pressure gauge here. When you your high pressure coupling, when you take it off the port, this one here will spit, right? Because it's under tremendous pressure, so she will usually really kick off. I'm trying to do it with one hand. Can't do it. Hang on a moment, guys. I've got to put the phone down. Hang on a second. Yep. Keep the phone in somewhere where you can see it. I don't know if you can see now, but anyway. There we go. And that one's off, right? All right. So, coupling's off on both sides. Now, I mix these up 90% dishwashing liquid, 10% water. I just buy whatever crap is available and that's what I use. The cheaper, the nastier, the better. Righto, so let's take this here. Now look, at first, all Schrader valves will leak a little bit after a fresh injection of refrigerant, and there's a good reason for it, and I'll explain it to you just give me a second. Let me put these manifolds away. So let's get back to this area here. Again, apologies about the frogs. There's frogs carrying on everywhere. All right, so when we're putting refrigerant into the low pressure side, which is where we inject the refrigerant, the two little O-rings of the Schrader, they freeze right up, and of course they what do they call it? They tighten up, they shrink, right? And so as it sort of warms up, then that particular Schrader will be fine. Anyway, we'll take our spray bottle here. Let's just go there, throw a little bit of bubbles in there, and let's have a close look. And that is absolutely passable. That to me is a good finish, mate. There's no problem there. Let's go to the other side. Now this one is going to be hot, so probably not the best idea to do it while the engine's while the port is still cooking off, because it does get hot. But look at that, we've got no bubbles in that area there. That's good, right? So where on earth could this fucking leak be? Okay, well, let's talk about the usual suspects. The low pressure pipe right here, this low pressure pipe where the rubber is, these are called metal ends because there's metal on them. This is your rubber hose, and these are your ferrules here, right? I can feel that there's a problem with this particular hose. I noticed it before. It's a little bit ripply. You might be able to just see that it's not nice and smooth. It's almost slightly herniated. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means I've got to put some of this stuff onto it. So let me just get this guy nice and wet. You can see I'm just wetting him down. Nothing to see here. Let's get him all nice and wet. Oh, that's a beautiful job. Okay, let me turn the little light on now on my camera, righto, and let's watch what's happening here. I think you guys can see it already. A couple of little bubbles there. Let's have a close look and watch what happens. So right now, I'm going to turn the camera off because I'm going to go off and have a cold drink. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to see what's happened with this hose, right? If we see thousands of little bubbles on this hose, then we know that that is where it's leaking from. It's coming from the hose. Have a look what's happening over here, guys, in the very middle of the screen. I'll try and point to it. Just there, just at the tip of my finger. Can you see those bubbles there? Right? Still, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. We've only just started. Let's let this thing do its thing. I'll even start the car up again to pressurize everything because all the pressure's settling down. But I'm wondering if our culprit is one of the usual suspects, and that is this hose, because when we recharge this car, it does seem to behave for a little while. Then after a while, it runs out of gas. So let's give that a shot and come back in a few minutes and see what the outcome is. Okay, guys. I've left the system charged for about a half an hour, and well, a bit less, probably about 20 minutes. And I'm going to now show you one of our leaks. It's right there on the low pressure hose. Now, I can't get my phone. Can I get it? Maybe I can. There's a leak right there. You can see it on the screen. I'll try and focus up a bit more. There we go. And if we just observe that leak for a little bit, it'll just keep pouring out. You can just see the bubbles just streaming out of there, right? So the low pressure hose is a goner. It's definitely the culprit in this particular hose. I'm just going to look and check anywhere else on there. I'm sure that it's probably leaking elsewhere down there. So low pressure hose is definitely a culprit, but I've also noticed, let me just turn the phone around a little bit, pardon my fingers, just down there where the high pressure hose leaves the compressor. The compressor's down that way, sorry about that. There's the low, that's the low pressure hose there. The high pressure hose is just under there. That's a pipe, the metal end there turns around. You can see my torch there, it just turns around there. Let me try and focus down there a bit better for you. Okay, can't focus anyway. But what I wanted to point out to you guys is where it comes here to join onto the condenser up here. If we follow that pipe down, just where the metal end joins the hose for that pipe. Let me just turn my phone. I'm so sorry about the way I'm turning this phone, giving everybody a headache there. But just there, I'm going to point. You probably can't see it very well, but that is all bubbles there. So all this area here is full of bubbles, and they're leaking. So we definitely have a leak just there where the ferrule clip is going onto the the high pressure side, coming in the condenser, right? So we've not only got that leak there, you know, where you can see him just there, that leak there is kicking off. I believe we probably have a leak on this side here as well. So this hose is no good now. I can see other bubbles just starting on it. So that will explain why this system can hold a charge, but after a couple of months she lets go. So there's our culprit. So what's going to happen with this particular car is, let me turn the camera around. So what will happen now, guys, is both those hoses will come out. I will take them to a place here in Darwin where they take the hoses off. They've actually got a new way of doing it, and the new hoses are much better. So I recommend, if you've got an old vehicle where the AC hasn't worked for a while, chances are, because you haven't had refrigerant in there, the R134 does hold PAG oil in there. Of course, it's drying everything out because it hasn't worked for a while, and then suddenly you pressurize it. And in this case, it's a 20-year-old vehicle, so you know that explains why it's carrying on the way it is. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty good day in the workshop. We found it. It's what I call the usual suspects that have caused the issue. Guys, I'm going to leave you with this quick video, this last bit that I want to do with the video. I'm going to spin the camera around. We have a really extended piece here of the low pressure pipe, the thick one here. It's all metal. And it's right next to an engine, and that engine bay gets really, really hot. So can I recommend, when you do your AC up, you know, get it fully charged and ready to go to one of the plumbing suppliers and get your hands on, let me just find it for you here. I've got it in one of my cupboards over here. Sorry about the long walk around. Yes, this stuff right here, guys. I'm going to show you it. Now, it's insulation cork tape, they call it, cork insulation tape, but it's not actually cork. Let's have a look at it, right? This product here, it's a little expensive, about $30–40, but have a look at it. It's a rubber, right? It's much like blue tack, right? So, you know, nearly 3 fingers wide, right? And this stuff, you wrap this stuff here, look, it's stretchy, it's self-adhering, so, you know, you can push it onto itself and mould it if you want to, right? But it's not sticky, it doesn't stick to your hands, right? But you wrap that pipe, you know, this, let me just go back over here, wrap this pipe up, the low pressure pipe, sorry about that, the thick one, always the thick one, because that will get icy cold when your AC's working, right? Insulate it from the ferrule coupling there. Insulate it all the way back to your firewall. Protect it from the ambient heat of your engine, because you're keeping that refrigerant nice and cool. And when you do that, you're going to get colder air in the system. And last of all, don't forget, this car doesn't have it, but down here, I would definitely be installing one of these thermal fans. Now, you only need a 7-inch thermal fan, one thermal fan. Put it on the side of the condenser where the high pressure pipe comes in, because that'll be the hottest area, will be just here. So put it in that corner there. It doesn't have to go in the middle. In fact, it's preferable that you put it in the top corner over here. Wire it through your ignition. Quite simple to do when you go into your fuse box there, or that one there I should say. Wire it up, and when that blasts cold air there, these lazier fans here, they're already trying to keep your radiator cool. We're not trying to do that. We want to get the condenser cool, and that's really going to make the difference. The cooler we can get the hot gases in there, the quicker they'll become liquid and then make their way around over to your TX valve. It'll be nice and cool, sprays in there, and when you do that, the pressure on your hoses drops down. So remember that the high pressure gauge here, once you throw a thermo fan on there, that high pressure will drop right down. So what are you doing? You're saving your Schrader valves. You're saving your O-rings. There's 10 to 12 O-rings depending on your system setup, and all of those suddenly have pressure relief. They're now going to be nice and cool. When you stop at the traffic lights, your AC doesn't start getting warm, because it's got forced air ramming through there, and that gas that's coming out of your compressor super hot is getting cooled down, converting to liquid and pushing back through into your system. And that's how you do it, guys. So there you go. We've had a win today. We found the customer's problem. So once again, Defender members, if you've got any questions, you're always welcome to give me a call and ask me whatever it is that you're looking at working on with your Land Rover. It doesn't even have to be a Land Rover. If it's the wife's car or the kid's car or whatever, you've got an AC problem, just give me a call, and costs you nothing. I'm the secretary of the club, and I'm here to look after the club. So if I can help you, so it costs you nothing, that's not what I'm going to endeavour to do. Good on you guys. Have a great day.